Good Monday afternoon, Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille show. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's great to be with you. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. Grand opening weekend, reopening weekend in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, across the Commonwealth, except for you, Northern Virginia, and except for you, Richmond. You guys didn't experience it. Here in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, it went extremely well. We will break down reopening weekend from a restaurant standpoint, a brewery standpoint, and a winery standpoint today on the I Love CVille show. I'm going to show you where I think the disposable income is traveling to, whether it's Albemarle, Charlottesville, or Central Virginia, and I'm going to explain and analyze why that disposable income paper trail, the trail of where the money is going, could impact your son and daughter and his or her education in the city of Charlottesville. We're also going to discuss how major landlords that are private equity firms or publicly traded companies, like the landlords that own Stonefield and like the landlords that own Barracks Road Shopping Center, how they're influencing restaurants to reopen in Charlottesville despite the business not being there. A lot we're going to cover on the program, including some highlights from Lloyd Snook, Charlottesville City Councilor. If you could, like and share the show on any of the 12 Facebook pages you're watching this program on. We'll welcome Harvey Mayorga, one of the co-owners of Guajiros, a fabulous Miami eatery on 29 North in the Woodbrook Shopping Center. He's going to join us today on the program. Phenomenal program. A lot of our sponsors we love to work alongside, like Interstate Pest and Service Companies and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. These two businesses doing really well by Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Interstate's a 4-generation strong business. Scott Wagner, a 1-generation business that's just crushing it from a sports medicine, physical therapy, and chiropractic care standpoint. Judah, I'm ready to rock and roll with headlines. Let's start with the first one. Guys, reopening weekend. You watched the news. You read the Daily Progress. I personally saw it firsthand. Okay? We had activity at roughly 80-some restaurants, breweries, and wineries across Charlottesville and Central Virginia. And from what I've seen, and through the correspondence of text messages and phone calls and emails and Skype and FaceTime with the owners and the staff at these places, grand opening, reopening weekend went extremely well. People understand the concept or are understanding the concept of needing to be 6 feet apart and social distance. Do we need a little more kick in the pants with the mask? Perhaps. Okay? But the reopening weekend, for the most part, went extremely well. So we should be excited about that. I think the next step for us as consumers, we should be following, is how the reopening, not only in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, but how the reopening has impacted states like Georgia, states like Texas, how the reopening has impacted numbers. And I think we're all in agreement. We're going to see some flare-ups, but we should follow what these numbers are going to do as these municipalities reopen, and let's see if we see the flare-ups. How, to what extent? Okay, that's how confidence will slowly return to us, is if we can reopen, we can go to restaurants, breweries, and wineries, I don't care where you live, and we can do it safely, wearing masks and social distancing. We can have fun, have this glimmer of what it used to be, and go home and follow the data dashboards, whether it's the Thomas Jefferson data dashboard or the Commonwealth data dashboard or the one nationally or globally. And as we patronize these businesses, as we reopen, if the numbers don't spike, consumer confidence will slowly return. And I think what we're seeing happening with a lot of people, I'm not saying it's everybody, but a huge chunk of the population over the last 60, 75 days has saved some money. So if consumer confidence returns because we don't see a spike in numbers from the reopening, then you have the disposable income to go and gain some momentum as we head into the back half of 2020. I want to analyze, before we welcome Harvey Mayorga of Guajiros to the program, I want to analyze how the reopenings happen. So the first headline you put on screen, right, Judah? Okay, thank you. Let's get, Judah Wickhauer's our director. He does a fabulous job. Let's get the second headline. And guys, give it a like and a share on any of these Facebook pages. If you want perspective that you want to relay on the show, put it on the stream. I'll relay your perspective across 12 Facebook pages and the I Love CVille network. Just put it in the comment section. So I'm going to analyze how this happened by area. And I'm going to try to compare and contrast the city of Charlottesville to Albemarle County, although I'm going to have to fudge a little bit and open up Albemarle County's footprint to include a little bit of Nelson County, because a lot of the breweries and wineries are in Nelson County, which is adjacent to Albemarle. So here's the question I'm going to ask you, and the question that you should be asking yourself as a Charlottesvillian or as a Albemarle Countyan, okay? What is the disposable dollars going to do? How is it going to get back in the economy? And how is it going to then trickle down to the budgets of Albemarle and Charlottesville as we are at a deficit because our teachers, as a result, our teachers, our policemen, our firemen, our EMTs, our city and county employees, they're in a pinch right now because we don't have a lot of money. We're behind from what we have from a budget standpoint. So I'm asking this question. I have a business and real estate property in the city of Charlottesville, a personal residence, and some rental property in Albemarle County. How are the dollars being spent in these two municipalities? Before we can understand how the dollars are being spent, we got to ask ourselves, who is open? So get the second headline back on screen. You see opened in Charlottesville roughly, and this story is on ilovecville.com. or my Facebook page. I would encourage you to go to ilovecville.com, go to the lead slot and click City of Charlottesville versus Albemarle County. Who has more reopened businesses? Charlottesville has roughly 21 restaurants reopened. City of Charlottesville, roughly 21 restaurants reopened. The 21 restaurants in the city of Charlottesville that are reopened, for the most part, have in common of a pretty decent outdoor patio, because that's what you need for phase one. The city of Charlottesville has 4 breweries that have reopened. As a result, we know the city of Charlottesville has 25, there's no wineries in the city of Charlottesville, so that's non-applicable. As a result, we know the city of Charlottesville has 25 options for us to spend our money. 21 restaurants and 4 breweries, Decipher, Raynham Row, Rockfish, and 3 Notched. Okay, so there's 25. Albemarle County has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 restaurants open in Albemarle County. So the city of Charlottesville actually has 7 more restaurants open right now for patio service than Albemarle County. 21 versus 14. Here's what you should be focused on. The breweries and the vineyards in Albemarle County and in Nelson County are very plentiful. So while the city has 7 more restaurants in Charlottesville than Albemarle County, it is very much losing the battle in the brewery standpoint and in the vineyard standpoint. And my prediction is for the next 60 days, the marketplace, which means me and you, all of us, are going to take the dollars that we have saved over the 60 days that we have been in quarantine and in isolation and not spending as much money, and we're going to take these dollars and we're going to go to Albemarle County or Nelson County and patronize their brewery and winery scene. My concern as someone who has a business and real estate property in Charlottesville, and my concern as someone who understands the importance of Charlottesville having a very strong economy and a brand moving forward, because that trickles over to the rest of Central Virginia, my concern is there's not a lot of businesses opening in the city, and the ones that are reopening don't have the space to breed consumer confidence. And as a result, you and me and our friends and neighbors and family will go to the county for space, land, because the space and land allows us to social distance more, and that breeds consumer confidence, which is going to breed disposable income. So if you're a city official, Dr. Richardson, or any of our city councilors, or the director of economic development at City Hall, you should be very trepid that you are going to lose the battle over Q3, okay? Over Q3, you're going to lose the battle for disposable income to the county, and that's further going to impact your budget deficit for fiscal year 2021. I asked Lloyd Snook this question. This is the one I would like for you to play, Judah, the sizzle reel. Lloyd Snook, our Charlottesville City Councilor on restaurants. Do you have that ready to go, my friend? You do. We'll play it on one. So I asked Lloyd Snook about this. He's one of 5 Charlottesville city councilors. Smart man. Lloyd Snook, how, as a council, do you keep from losing market share to Albemarle County over the next 60 to 90 days, with Albemarle County having more businesses to support and to patronize in the city of Charlottesville? Judah, we'll play it on one. Here's what Lloyd Snook had to say. Play it on 3, 2, 1. Guidelines were give a huge Albemarle from a restaurant, vineyard, brewery standpoint because of the land and the patio. So I'm concerned that we're going to see a flock of Charlottesvillians and Central Virginians who otherwise would have spent their disposable income in city limits spending it in the county because of the roughly 70 vineyards, breweries, wineries, and restaurants that are opening. 95% of them are in Albemarle County.
And one of the things that we've tried to talk about is, and there are really 2 constraints here. The first constraint is that we can't lose sight of is that businesses won't reopen if they don't think people are willing to come. And so to say to a restaurant, yes, you can open, but you're going to be opening under circumstances where people are going to be uncomfortable because they won't be able to maintain their social distance. That's not a prescription for success. So that's one thing we've got to keep in mind, that it's really not just the question of what the city requires or mandates or prohibits, but the question is what can people do and feel comfortable, and we can't control that. But there are a few things we can control, and one of the suggestions that's been floating around is trying to figure out for city restaurants in particular, and probably most city restaurants have no outdoor component. But one thing that has happened in places like Norfolk, for example, and not just as a consequence of the COVID problem, but in general, I was walking around downtown Norfolk a few months ago, and in the parking spaces immediately outside the restaurant, they've got tables set up. And so it's outdoor dining in the parking spaces. And if the city says for a restaurant that's on a street that's got some parking out in front, you can go ahead and you can use those parking spaces for dining. That's another way to get. I mean, it's not a whole lot.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. Is the city going to do? Lloyd, I championed that idea yesterday. I made the suggestion. Tip Top. Imagine Tip Top Restaurant. It's got the largest parking lot in the area. I mean, you could see 200. A lot of people. I'm not going to put a number. You can see can the city do something like that? And to piggyback that, can the city open the downtown mall to like a beer garden type setting? Stop cut through traffic on 4th Street for cars. Do a beer garden where people can walk around downtown with plastic cups the city provides. Maybe the city sells to the marketplace a wristband that's red and says for $2, we will give you $2. The consumer, Jerry, gives the city $2. You give me a wristband and a plastic cup, and that plastic cup can go to restaurants in the downtown mall and can get beverages, and we can walk around downtown. You stimulate the economy. You get the budget going in the right direction with the $2. You get people going back to the restaurants, and the downtown mall needs it. Just an idea. I'm just throwing it out there.
And I have no idea. To answer your question, I have no idea. I mean, I think we need to think about creative ways that we can build that business back up. And one of the issues that we look at everything these days, at least in part, through the question, and Nikiah Walker's favorite phrase is to look at things through an equity lens. One of the things about the restaurant business is that the restaurant employees are a very diverse group. They are people who typically don't have health insurance. They typically don't have fringe benefits. They're typically people who are really living on margin right now. And if there's a way we can help them, if there's a way we can boost their economy, so to speak, I'm all in favor of that.
I love it. All right, thank you, Lloyd Snook. So here's the question that I have for you. How do we create a value proposition for people to return downtown. Because of the density of downtown, specifically it's 8 blocks, there's not a lot of room on the mall for people to walk by the patios and also sit in the patios while meeting the 6-foot guideline. How do we create a value proposition to return downtown? This is the last sector of Charlottesville and Central Virginia that I think is going to rebound because of the strict guidelines in phase 1 and what will be phase 2 of how a restaurant can reopen. As a result, our elected officials and the people that we pay City Hall to run our town must think outside the box and innovate to salvage and save the heartbeat of the community, which is the 8 blocks that is the downtown mall. On Friday, I made a walk from Code, the old ice park, which will eventually be the center of developing entrepreneurs, Joffrey Woodruff's home for his investment portfolio. And I made the walk from Code and the Omnia Hotel to the Pavilion on Friday afternoon, and I counted 7 to 8 empty storefronts with 4 lease signs in them already. And I'm hearing a couple of other restaurants are about to close and 2 retail boutiques are about to close. So that's going to be, perhaps by close of business Friday, 12 empty storefronts on the downtown mall. The empty storefront index, the empty storefront ratio, is undoubtedly a barometer or benchmark of how your local economy is doing and the health of your local economy. Furthermore, empty storefronts create other empty storefronts. When you see one prop up, the odds of another one showing up are more likely than if there's not one there. So council and City Hall must act quickly and figure out a valid value proposition to return downtown. It's the most in jeopardy aspect of our community. The county's got space. The county has patios. The county has vineyards and breweries of epic proportion that it can rely on for a meals tax and tourism tax base. The city does not have patios. The city has limited breweries, and the city has no wineries. Charlottesville will lose the Q3 and Q4 battle for disposable income to Albemarle County as it prepares its next year's budget. It's concerning. I'm going to talk East Market Street parking garage shortly. So here's another thing that's funny. Okay? Charlottesville has these promises that it has in play. And these promises are written in handshake and in paper agreements to build things like parking garages and Belmont bridges and West Main Streetscape projects. The West Main Streetscape, it's getting money from the Commonwealth. Okay? So these capital improvement projects that have been in the pipeline for so long, it's not like you can just say, hasta luego, peace out, so long, sayonara, I'm not going to do you right now. You can't do that. The East Market Street parking garage is one that has divided this community. Do we need a $13 million parking garage where Guadalajara and Lucky 7 are during a historic pandemic? A $13 million parking garage that's going to house over 300 cars, when we're not even sure if the future of transportation or the future of this city is cars? Or is COVID going to push people back to cars and away from public transportation because of fear of getting the virus and because people want to self-distance and isolate in a car as opposed to a bus? The future is freaking unknown. Judah, I'm going to play that in 3, 2, 1. Not quite yet. So we're going to play a highlight clip where I asked Councilor Lloyd Snook, what is the future of this garage on East Market Street? We have no money. This thing's going to cost $13 million. The county expects us to deliver this because Charlottesville gave its word to keep the courts downtown. It would give the county a parking garage on this corner. So the county's going to hold the city to its feet to its fire. The legal community wants it downtown, and frankly, all of us want it downtown. Tough spot. No money and promises made. Half the community wants it, half the community does not. That's worth repeating. You have a $13 million parking garage where half the community wants it, half doesn't, and you have no money to do it. Tough spot. 3, 2, 1. Lloyd Snoke, Judah. Parking. Just throw parking. You know this was going to come up. People asking about parking. I'll get out of your way on that topic with East Market Street.
Well, I think the East Market Street parking garage that we're going to be building as a part of our deal with Albemarle County to keep the courts downtown. Let me just say, the deal provides that if we don't build that parking garage, there are other things that can happen. And some people have said, well, let's just let those other things happen. Let's, for example, let the county have 90 parking spaces and take over completely the parking lot at the corner of 7th and Market, things like that. I don't want to do that for a whole lot of reasons. Number one, because I think it's vital that the city get back to the point with the county where we are seen again as a reliable negotiating partner. That when we make a deal, even if it means an election takes place in the meantime, we don't just throw away the deal. This is a deal that was worked by then Mayor Nakia Walker and by agreement of the city to go ahead with this deal. And to Mayor Walker's credit, she has stood by that agreement. She hasn't tried to walk back from it. She and Heather Hill and I have been fairly consistent in saying we want to go ahead and get this parking garage built. And let me just say, there are a couple problems that come up. People say, well, we don't really need parking downtown. I would say, of course, I'm prejudiced. I park downtown. I park in the parking garage. I've got employees who park in the parking garage. We do not have a surplus of parking. It has been correctly stated, we have a management problem, but that management problem doesn't get easier by having fewer parking spaces. And we will have fewer parking spaces if we build this parking garage. If we don't build this parking garage, if we build the Belmont Bridge, for example, there's going to be a whole parking lot over there that a lot of city employees park in. They won't be able to park in that lot, at least during the time that the bridge is being built. We are going to need the parking spaces. We've got another 1,000 jobs probably coming downtown between the code buildings on Garrett Street and so on. 1,000 places. People are not going to walk from Albemarle County, and we don't have the bus system at this point to do away with cars. I think maybe 5-10 years from now, we may get to the point, if we can build the bus system to where we want to build it, to where we could say, you know, the current parking garage we've got on Market Street is nearing the end of its useful life. It's going to cost more to repair. Maybe the 10-year from now solution means we get rid of that parking garage because we've got a brand new bus system that is truly working. We get rid of that parking garage. We get rid of the current city hall. We build one much more efficient building that takes all of these different offices. And I mean, there are answers like that we could get to, but we're not going to get there in the next year or two. And so we've got to have this relatively, I'm thinking, 5 to 10 year solution and then perhaps look at what a 20-year solution might be, but they're going to be different solutions.
That was a phenomenal answer, and I want to cut that. That was very understandable and digestible, Judah. If we can cut that into a sizzle reel, I thought that was really good. And on top of that, we don't know how COVID-19 is going to impact how the marketplace utilizes public transportation. COVID-19 and the fear of could drive demand back to singular vehicles, which could impact an ecosystem that needs houses for these vehicles. Parking. We'll continue to follow that story. It's one that we need to cover. It's one that you're asking us to cover. It's one that we will continue to feature on this network. It's one that's going to impact the community on many different levels. The upfront money, the back-end situation. We'll welcome some other counselors to the show to discuss. Judah, I'd like to go to the phones. And by the phones, I mean Skype. And let's welcome Harvey Mayorga to the show. I'm calling him now. He's one of the co-owners of Guajiros on Route 29 and the Woodbrook Shopping Center, a phenomenal Cuban sandwich, now with incredible cocktails. One of Harvey's many skills is he is a master mixologist, and he, along with Sebastian, and Danilo have made a cocktail program that is fantastic. And I know because I tried it firsthand on Saturday with a Cuba Libre and a hibiscus flower margarita, and they were off the chain. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Skype. We have Harvey live, Judah. You are live on 12 Facebook pages here for Charlottesville and Central Virginia. First, Harvey, thank you kindly for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Reintroduce yourself and your fabulous family to this community, if you could.
Absolutely. So my name is Harvey Mayorga. I'm one of the three brothers that own Guajiros Miami Eatery, Sebastian, Danilo. We've been here over a year now. April 7th was our anniversary. And we've been trying to bring a little bit of Miami to Charlottesville ever since.
Grace is watching in Charlottesville. She says, I live right around this restaurant, guys, in the Woodbrook neighborhood. Their Cuban coffee is the best coffee in Charlottesville, and I think I've put on 10 pounds because of their Cuban sandwiches. You got to give this place a try. I'm going to get to these comments. If you want to give Harvey and his family some love, just put them in the comment section. Walk us through the last 90 days. I mean, this has been a crazy time for everybody.
Oh, absolutely, man. Part of what we've been doing, and it's been part of the vibe of the restaurants ever since we opened, is just keep adapting to the changes. The last 90 days have definitely been challenging. We did have to close for a little bit. Just want to make sure everyone was safe. We cleaning in the restaurant. We changed a few things. Took that time to get some rest, but at the same time, change a few things at the restaurant, the countertops and everything. Projects that we had already in mind. We took the advantage of the time off, kind of time off. We are back open, take on delivery only. We kind of implemented the new cocktail program. Again, always adapting to what's going on. Reinvented our menu a little bit, changed a few things, eliminated a few other things. So if you're missing our avocado toast, is because it doesn't travel well. So we decided, we want you to have the full experience, even 30 minutes after you take our food and bring it to home. So that's kind of what we've been doing.
Your food, I mean, it's a Miami eatery. The beautiful thing about your model is the takeout windows in Miami are based on this quick serve, get it and go, grab and run. So while by any means no one wants a pandemic, and this situation stinks for all of us, no doubt. Your situation set up, I would say, advantageously compared to a lot of sit-down restaurants, Harvey.
Yes. So part of what Guajiros is it's a Cuban sandwich, it's a pulled pork, but it's also the vibe of the restaurant. The music, the attitude that we bring to the restaurant every day. So for those who have been here outside of pandemic world, have noticed that. I hope, but with this, we actually took, like you said, that approach of like that little Miami ventana, the little window, up to that though. So yes, it's been similar, but we do miss to have everybody here, see the familiar faces, hang out with the music and everybody. So
how about this, Harvey? Give us the breakdown of what you and your brothers were thinking. Okay, running a business that feeds your family, but have to do it in a way where people are safe, okay? That's a hell of a crossroads right there. I'm going to get out of your way.
Well, absolutely. So, the first thing, the first couple of weeks, it was just trying to hear all the news, all the information, listening to the governors, listening to the CDC, and then trying to adapt ourselves to that. Obviously, some not agree with, and you said like, no, we're just gonna take the extra mile. We kind of like to do that. So extra cleaning, extra protection to the staff. Real quick, I'm gonna introduce. You met Danilo last time.
What's up, baby?
I'm Harvey, and this is Sebastian. This is the third brother, the youngest.
Sebastian, what's up, bud? How you doing?
All good, Jerry. How you doing? How'd you like the food yesterday?
Dude, Sebastian, it was legit. Your food is all legit. The Cuba Libre made me feel good. The hibiscus margarita had the lady feeling nice and was beautiful for Saturday. Give us a snapshot into what was going on with like you guys opening, wanting to see the people, get this amazing food in the mouths of Charlottesville. I mean, this is a tough time for everybody. What went through your world?
It's definitely been a good time for us to adapt, but we're used to it. I remember on the last interview you had with my with Danilo. He talked about us coming to the United States. So this is just another of those times where we have to adapt to the situation and become better. What you saw yesterday, we're pretty busy up in here. But it's all thanks to the customers. We wouldn't be able to do anything without our customers.
I love it. I love it. What's that mean to you? So I was there Saturday. Dude, your place was freaking hopping, man. I mean, what does that mean to your family to see like pandemic, place closes, you reopen, takeout, and people get your back, dude?
Oh, the love of this community is amazing. Oh my God.
It just fuels our our gas tanks. Like every single time people coming in with the most positive attitude, and just the kind words, being patient when we're busy and they have to wait for their meal. Like I said, it's just all those stuff that fuels our gas tank just to keep going and keep them getting better.
Harvey, you would have been so impressed with Sebastian yesterday. He was making the cocktail, and I saw him. Was it like? Give me the terminology. He used this like cool syringe to make the cocktail on the bag. It was awesome.
So I taught him well. I like to believe that I taught him well. It's we, like I said, adapt. That's kind of like the motto, right? So part of it when we were thinking about the menu, my background, starts throwing like, let's make this like chocolate banana old fashioned, rum old fashioned, whatever. And then we came out to a conclusion, it's like, man, this needs to be a container. We cannot be super complicated, no specialty ice or nothing like that. So, what's the most classic kind of like Cuban Miami cocktail that we can come up with, right? Cuba Libre, right? So, if you don't mind me just throwing out the recipe out there, there's a little thing that they do in Cuba that not that many people do when they're making Cuba Libres at home or rum and cokes, is that they add bitters to it. So we did that. We kind of wanted to get as legit as possible within our limitations. The margarita, like everybody loves a margarita, but I want to throw something more to it. So what better than the hibiscus flower, hibiscus syrup to it, since it's part of our logo, part of our brand. So yeah, and then how to present it and make sure that it's in a good format to take it home, and make sure you're enjoying it at the same time. So it's been
It was amazing.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, it was honestly, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the line. The Cuba Libre was just absolutely delicious, one of the best I've had. How about this mindset? As we reopen, what are restaurants in your eyes and your brother's eyes? What are restaurants going to look like as we reopen?
Man, from the feeling that I got from other restaurant owners is that obviously we want to open. Everybody wants to open, but we want to make the thing that a lot of I've seen a lot of posts going around that the way they're opening is the right way. Social distancing, making sure that there's enough space between the tables and the chairs, making sure that it's not a packed house. Yes, we are busy during lunch hours, but we try to, even though we're just takeout, but we try to keep everybody like distance enough. So I think that's the way that's going to be the norm, and that's the way, in my humble opinion, it should be for now. And I think that's the approach that Charlottesville is taking. So I'm extremely proud of them.
We're live on 12 Facebook pages, guys. We have Harvey, one of the co-owners of Guajiros. Anybody that needs some food this week, Guajiros is banging. The Cuban sandwiches, I think, are the best in Charlottesville, and I'm going to catch some heat for saying that because there's some other options out there, but they got the best. The cocktails are damn good. Laura Stevenson says, Jerry, we're on our way here. What's the protocol for when I get there if I want to order? Good question.
Okay, different ways. You can order online, guajiros.net. It's going to be a website. You can order online over there. You get 10% discount if it's your first time ordering online. You can call the restaurant ahead of time, place the order. If you don't feel like you want to come in, that's totally fine. We will. You can pay over the phone, and you can once you get to the parking lot, you give us a call to the restaurant, and we will bring the food out. And if you feel comfortable to come in, we do have social distancing marks on the floors, and wait in line. It's usually a short line. We try to keep it that way, and order here at the counter. We have touchless credit card payments if you want to pay with your phone. So we, like I said, we are set up in a way that you can You can order any way.
Daniel Kaufman's watching the program. He's the owner of Public Fish and Oyster. Welcome, Daniel, to the program. You have 4 different restaurant owners. Welcome to watching the show. Keenan Brown, hello. Lynn Pontilio, hello. Good question coming in. This one's coming in about Grubhub. So one of the things we've seen in this time is the ugly side of third-party delivery and that the huge cuts they're taking from restaurants. We're also seeing and watching as Grubhub is spoofing phone numbers and having those orders come through a spoof phone number that they create so they get the back-end commission. How about that topic of Grubhub and how it's really coming to the top of being not necessarily a partner for a restaurant?
That's a touchy subject. Definitely something that I would love to sit in a panel with all the restaurant owners. So we are not using third parties. We have a service that a company that we use that partner up with us, and it's a monthly fee. So the deliveries are done another party, another company, but it's not taking our commissions though. We had to do a lot of research because, yeah, some of those companies they do dip into your pockets a little bit. So, and I'm trying to stay as politically correct as possible.
Sure. But I think I'm going to say this.
Another panel. Let's do it, man. We gotta discuss this more openly, please.
Okay. I'm going to say it. Harvey, you did not say this. Jerry Miller says this. Grubhub screws you guys. Don't use Grubhub. You cannot make any money as a restaurant if you're using Grubhub. Okay? I said it. He didn't say it. All right. Let's do this. You got a lot of people watching. How about a final word for you and your family, for all of Charlottesville? Harvey, you can go anywhere you want. It can be anything you've seen, hope. We're hopeful guys. We're positive guys. We're upbeat people. Anywhere you want to go.
Oh, absolutely. No. First of all, the one thing that we always discuss in our meetings and every time we talk about the restaurant in Charlottesville here at Guajiros is that we are amazed about the amount of love that we get from this city. Virginia is for lovers, and I think everything starts in Charlottesville because I can't believe all that love starts here though, because we feel it though. We feel it in our, not only people placing orders, but we feel it when they come in and they're super excited to see us. I'm glad you guys are open. We feel it in the support that they get in purchasing gift cards, purchasing new shirts. You haven't seen them.
I love them.
So definitely love is what we feel, and we appreciate everything you do. Me, my brothers, and everybody in the Guajiros family. Thank you 1,000 times.
Let's throw this to you. If I told you, Harvey, that you were going to go and move to Charlottesville, you were going to start a restaurant with your brothers, you were going to start a Cuban Miami eatery with your homies, you were going to open a cocktail program because you're really good at it, you would go through a historic pandemic of epic proportions, you would have to pivot your model from dine-in to takeout, and you would still celebrate your 1-year anniversary, and you would still be crushing it and serving this community so well. If I told you that 20 months ago, what would you have done?
I would have laughed. That's impossible. That's not impossible.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So happy.
I love you guys. I love your food. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. We love you, and everything you guys do for us.
All right, you have a good one, Harvey. Take care. I love those guys. Congratulations on a 1-year anniversary for Guajiros. Did you know 80% of small businesses fail in their first 3 years? Guajiros is a year and change into that 3-year window. And you know what I see? I see a generational business being built that's going to be passed from Harvey and Danilo and Sebastian to their children, because these guys work their tails off. Okay? And anybody that's watching this program right now, I encourage you. I did it Saturday. I encourage you to get a Cuban sandwich and a Cuba Libre or a hibiscus flower margarita today or this week from Guajiros. Because not only are you supporting a local family, not only is the food priced well, not only is it super delicious, but these guys are doing it safely and mindful of your health. My name is Jerry Miller. This is the I Love CVille show. Today's been a good program. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow, Dave Warwick is on the show. He's the brewmaster of Three Notch Brewing Company. He's going to join us at 12:55. Barbara Lundgren from the wedding space in the wedding category. She's an event planner. She's going to join us on Wednesday at 12:55. All we're trying to do with the I Love CVille show is to spotlight storylines and trends and big ideas to support and help our community and for us to get stronger together. And one of the big ideas and storylines that we must insist that our elected officials and city managers in City Hall that are paid tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yes, I'm talking about you, Dr. Richardson, yes, I'm talking about you, Brian Wheeler, and yes, I'm talking to you, Charlottesville City Council. You must create a value proposition for people to return to downtown Charlottesville. It's your job as the elected people that we trust to lead our community to think outside the box right now. And Charlottesville City Councilors and Dr. Richardson, right before your eyes, you're watching the downtown mall crumble. At the end of this week, you're going to have 13 storefront vacancies with no new tenant in sight. Get on your horse. Put on your thinking cap and figure this out. You better figure out a reason for people to come back downtown, or it's going to turn into a ghost town, and you're going to lose market share to Albemarle County, and your 2021 budget's going to be just the tipping point of your problems. My name is Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille show. Take care. Keep it going. Keep it going.